What's up troopers, my name is Neon. Have you been struggling when it comes to accuracy? Have you been struggling when it comes to recoil? Well, this is going to be the perfect video for you. Today I'm going to be giving you some really good tips and some setting changes to help you out with basically better recoil. And after this video, your weapon's going to be shooting way more accurate and way more straight. So before we get into the video, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. I would really appreciate it. And of course, leave a like. Thank you very much. So here we are on orbit right now, and there's going to be some settings we're going to be changing. Most of your settings are going to kind of look like this, just a really low FOV, and when you start shooting, this is what it's going to look like. Look how wild that is. There's so much more visual when it comes to this weapon, and we don't want something like that. So the first thing we need to change is we need to go into our settings, and we're going to look at a setting called field of view. Personally, I would say go for 90, but I actually go for 105. Now we can see a lot more better, but the problem is now is every time I aim in, I still have this really high zoom. And the high zoom is actually what is making the visual so much more extreme with the weapon. So we're going to go into the settings once again, and we're going to find a setting called ADS field of view. You're going to turn that on, and there's going to be a massive difference. This is what it looks like on, and this is what it looks like off. And this is what I'm saying, the big difference of it. So just having ADS field of view off, this is what it looks like with your visual recoil. But then having it on, this is what it's going to look like. Look how less visual recoil there is. So much little visual recoil. The difference is tremendous. So the two settings you need to have is FOV is at least 90 or 105, and ADS field of view needs to be on. Once you've done that, we're going to go through some weapon setups. We're actually using the Warhawk compensator. As you can see, it's actually going to give you better recoil control. And then I'm also using the MGL laser sight, what also gives you better recoil control. So troopers, make sure you're using the AM40 as a really good weapon, just because of how the rate of fire is, and it's very consistent when it comes to its recoil. That Warhawk compensator is going to help so much more when it comes to controlling that recoil, and even the laser sight is also going to reduce it as well. And the thing is, you don't even need to be using the AM40, you could be using any weapon, but they are going to be really good attachments to be using to reduce that recoil. Most weapons is going to be kind of tricky to start using them, because usually what happens in this game is every time you start shooting, the recoil pattern is way more extreme at the start, and then it kind of gets a little bit more easier. But the one thing is, because of now this game has a lot more spread in it, even after longer you shoot, it's going to be kind of tricky to control that target sometimes. So what you need to be doing is make sure you kind of burst firing. And troopers, you might be shooting someone, you might have some really good accuracy onto that enemy, but you're just not hitting them because your weapon's spreading. So just make sure you're tap firing and not trying to spray and pray all the time, because you are going to struggle at medium to longer ranges. And the other tip I actually gave you guys is, funny enough, this is kind of like a weird tip, but the thing is, it actually works really well for me. So usually what I actually do is I actually go and play a different game. If I go and play a different game and it has a way more higher recoil, I just feel like you just play a game what's a little bit more challenge, and then you go and back onto Battlefield and it just feels so much more easier. So like a game like Battlefield, the closest recoil patterns and stuff you're gonna get is really from Call of Duty. So if you go and play Call of Duty, you might have a little bit more of an easier time when it comes to playing Battlefield 2042. But for me, really, it feels like any game to practice is actually the finals. The finals has very, very high visual recoil, and it can be really tough to play it, especially on controller. But after a while and you keep playing that game again, or any other game what has a higher recoil, then you're gonna come back onto Battlefield and you're just gonna be like, wow man, this game is a lot more easier. So if that is a thing you are struggling, then go and switch onto a different game, give yourself a little bit more of a challenge, so you can come back to Battlefield and be like, yes, this is so much easier. But there you go troopers, that's all the tips and tricks for the Battlefield 2042 to help you guys reduce your recoil. But remember troopers, that this is all by visual recoil wise. It's not going to give you literally no recoil and you're going to shoot absolutely straight without doing anything. Of course you have to do stuff, but this is just by your visual wise. So now when you actually play in the game, it's not going to be all over the place. Anyway troopers, thank you very much for listening to me talk. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, be a part of Pink Army, and I'll see you in the battlefield. Oh, let's go! Oh my god, yes, the back shot too!